Meet the oldest adopted child of the Honora family, Everett. Everett was born in 1829 in the state of Virginia in the United States. His father was a blacksmith, his mother was a seamstress, and he was the oldest of four and also the only son. Everett's mother died shortly after the birth of his youngest sister, and his father died shortly after his 18th birthday. Everett took over the family business as well as care for his younger sisters. When Everett was 19 years old, a man came to the house identifying himself as Colonel Comstock. The man seemed crazed and was convinced that Everett was actually the reincarnation of his son Adam. The man tried to convince Everett to go with him, but when Everett refused, stating that he had siblings to take care of and also he didn't want to go with a crazy guy, the colonel revealed he was a vampire and murdered Everett's sisters. He then forcibly transformed Everett into a vampire. Everett was held captive by the colonel until 1859 when he met the runaway slave Johnathan. The pair formed a close friendship, and through that bond, Everett was able to finally break free from the colonel. The pair built a cabin together and became a part of the Underground Railroad. The pair first met Matthias and Aria Honora in 1862. Matthias and Aria essentially took Everett and Johnathan under their wing. Despite not being turned by them, Everett still sees Matthias and Aria as parental figures. He is the shyest of all the Honora children, and you can normally find him right next to Johnathan. The second oldest adopted child of the Honora family, Johnathan. Johnathan was born into enslavement in the early 1840s. The plantation he was on Butler Island, which is connected to the state of Georgia in the United States. In 1859, one of the largest slave auctions to ever be held in Georgia was underway. During the mass confusion in Savannah, Georgia, Johnathan was able to escape and use the Underground Railroad to try to make his way to freedom. However, when he made his way to Virginia, he unfortunately crossed paths with Colonel Comstock and a captive Everett. Everett used Johnathan's unique eye color to bargain for his life, and although he didn't trust Everett at first, after seeing how the colonel treated Everett, he couldn't help but empathize with the boy. The pair made a plan to escape, which they then enacted in 1861 during the chaos of the Civil War. The pair went to Maryland, where they then proceeded to build their own cabin, home, and help those that were traveling along the Underground Railroad. While Johnathan expressed to Everett how he wanted to become a vampire, Everett was afraid of trying to turn him because it could lead to his death. In 1862, the pair were found by Matthias and Aria Honora, Aria being the one to turn Johnathan into a vampire. While Aria and Everett continued to look after the cabin and those that would come through on the Underground Railroad, Matthias and Johnathan enlisted in the Union. Matthias a skilled doctor and surgeon, whereas Johnathan became a spy. This began a trend of Matthias enlisting as a medical doctor and Johnathan always following him as a soldier. Johnathan is most definitely an extrovert, and it's one of the reasons him and Matthias get along so well. Whereas the rest of the family can sometimes go years without having jobs or outside activities from the home, Johnathan will get stir-crazy. He is, however, incredibly protective, especially of Everett. To all the younger adoptive Honora kids, he is an older brother through and through, and he especially loves teasing and roughhousing with Silas.